let the dogs out. Like, who let the dogs out? Who?
Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. Always available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Always available wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
What the H? Good gravy, was that a week, kids, or what? Think about for a moment. Good morning, Amanda LaFratta. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
Just every once in a while, you do kind of a reset. What have these last 6 days been like for you? I mean, you've been across the country at a wedding, saw one of the greatest games, I think, in the past 25 years, win or lose, just the competitive nature of it. And then we cover Tennessee, one of their biggest wins, probably, were you going to say regular season, top 10, 15, 20. I don't know how to put it all in perspective, but it's been a heck of a 6 days, hasn't it?
It's been a 6 days, that's for sure. It's been a 6 days.
So, I hope you've enjoyed the coverage on our YouTube channel, as Amanda has just absolutely blown it out of the water with pulling out clips, including Lane Kiffin versus Josh Heupel, including college football playoff talk and all that fun stuff. It's been something. So like, subscribe, and share. Happy Friday to you as well. Crazy Brandon, good morning. Smokey, good morning. Kevin, good morning. It's been a wild ride. So no matter what happens for the rest of this season or with Off the Hook Sports into the future, we will never forget this week. And it's been pretty interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it, because we got a huge show lined up. Jonathan Crompton will join us. Tennessee does play UT Martin, by the way. And Caleb Calhoun is just seconds away. And also, we will have coming up later Coach Lance, and we'll do some message board bingo and give stuffs away. And Brittany's exactly right. I'm just glad we have UT Martin this week. Much needed. That's what she said. Exactly right. And the schedule, when you look at it, has been so perfect for Tennessee to make it a special sort of run. You had an off week after an emotional win against Florida. You start doing the checkoff games, Amanda, of games that Tennessee's definitely going to win with the non-conference games like UT Martin and such in the Ball States of the world. You know, you're sitting at a spot where 10 wins would be a little bit of a letdown. If Tennessee went 10-2, that would be a little bit of a letdown.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
I agree.
I don't think it would be a little bit of a letdown. I said 10-2 at the beginning of the season. That was my prediction, and I was the highest on the Tennessee bandwagon, I guess, or I saw the most potential, I thought. But even then, at the beginning of the season, everybody was like, "Whoa, calm down, lady! Like 10-2 is ridiculous." And now we're sitting here going, "Well, could Tennessee go undefeated?" Like, I mean, that is it going through everyone's mind? I believe that it is. So if everybody just chill for just a moment. Let's just enjoy where you are at right now. Just enjoy it. Let's not get crazy.
Yes, enjoy it. That's a good way of putting it. Okay, so let's get to the down and dirty at 30. It's brought to you by Honeybee Coffee. And Amanda, Honeybee Coffee is tremendous. And you're drinking some as we speak. The down and dirty at 30 brought to you by Honeybee Coffee. The locations all over Knoxville, and a great place to go online and order your coffee. Why is Honeybee Coffee so good, Amanda LaFratta?
It's the top 5% of beans in the world. And you can't put, I mean, you can, but when it comes to like freshness and when it comes to like the top of the top, like you can't say it enough. Like you can't put a price tag on that, especially when it makes you feel good. You don't have the crash. You don't have some coffee will give you like that coffee hangover. You don't have that either with Honeybee. It's just, you can tell it's good stuff.
I could not agree more. You're absolutely right. So let's go ahead and bring Caleb Calhoun in here for the Down and Dirty at 30 and the Down and Dirty at 30. It's going to focus on Tennessee's chances of making the college football playoff. First, good morning, Caleb. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Happy Friday, guys.
Yep. Happy Friday to you. What a week it's been. 6 days ago, who would have dreamed that you would see not only Tennessee win, but Tennessee win in the fashion that they did? Just your thoughts now that we have a little bit of time, a little bit of perspective to look back over one of the most memorable games of my lifetime, at least.
Definitely one of mine. I compare it to, I compare it to 98 and 2001 Florida, just those two games specifically for regular season games. As I've had a little time to look back on it, I have to say, this is why I understand why they're doing it, and it's good for the sport overall, but this is what I'm not going to like about the college football playoff expanding, because let's call it what it is. In 4 years, a game like this it's not going to go down in lore in history the way it does right now, because it's just not going to have the same type of impact. The same with 2013 Auburn, Alabama. So I just, that's what I started thinking about this week. When the playoff expands to 12 teams, is it really good for people who really hold dear some of the great traditions of college football, which is when you get these matchups and they mean everything, they're not going to mean everything anymore.
Well, I to some extent, yes. To some extent, yes. But what I think you will have is you'll have a beefed up, I hope you'll have a beefed up schedule, and you'll have better matchups week in and week out, more like the NFL. The other thing I hope for is, and I'm going to use that term, then I could absolutely be wrong, is I'm going to hope that teams continue to play hard for that home field advantage that's going to be part of the college football playoff, and the 8 teams that are going to host, or 4 teams will host, the last 8 teams that get in, and then 4 will have a bye. So I'm going to play devil's advocate. I feel like both of you guys are on the same page. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I still think there would be plenty to play for with a 12-team playoff.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty to play for, but I think what Caleb's saying is that these big games, these big regular season games aren't going to mean as much. It's not going to be one of those, like, we did this, we beat Alabama, so we have a chance of going. Tennessee, even if they lost to Alabama in a 12-team playoff, would still have a chance of going to the playoff, because it's 12 teams. I mean, that's just, how it is. So when the 12 teams is put into place, I think Tennessee, even if they lost, would still go. And I agree with what Caleb's saying. I think that also a big problem is that people are going to – the 12-team playoff was pushed, I feel, for people saying the SEC had a bias. People saying that, every year it's going to be at least an SEC team, no matter how good or how bad they are. Now we're seeing it's 2 SEC teams, yada, yada, yada. Well, that's just going to grow. That SEC perceived bias that everybody has is just going to continue to grow, because now you're going to see 4 SEC teams in the playoff, or 5. I mean, it gets to that point. So I think I would rather just have the 4. That's just me.
I was an 8ist, and still am. If it were up to me, it would be 8. But I'm okay with 12. I'm okay. I think what's going to be offset in December or into January, I guess I should say, I think will be more than enough. Now, this was a special win, and maybe it's not as special for either side, because you're Alabama and you're like, I could still get in the playoff. But the loser of this game could still get in the playoff either way. So I would argue that there would still be plenty to play for. The last thing you would want, and people predicted this when you would add a college football playoff, is that the Tennessee-Florida game wasn't as meaningful. It was still real meaningful, guys. I mean, either team could have lost that game and still climbed into the college football playoff, but it was meaningful for tradition and a number of different reasons. So I don't think all that gets thrown out the door, Caleb. I don't. Now, I can be proven.
I mean, my question, though, Dave, is Name your last memorable NFL regular season game. Not playoff game, regular season game.
That's fair.
True.
I actually can answer it, and it would only bolster your point, and it would be way back in 1992 when Emmitt Smith suffered the shoulder injury, and he ended up playing through the game, and it was significant because they got a bye out of that, which got him healthy, and they beat the Giants in that game, and they were able to get healthy or have a home field advantage. I can't remember which one. So it kind of bolsters both of our points, I guess. But that would be the last regular season game, and that was 1992.
Yeah, see, it's exactly. Now, maybe it is a pro versus college thing because college basketball, number 2 versus number 1 never matters. And I actually do remember some 2 versus 1 games that were in the regular season in college basketball. Tennessee, Memphis being one of those in 2008. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I kind of find it funny though that I'm the youngest one on here and I'm the most traditionalist because I got to be honest with you, I didn't even like the 14 playoff. I even thought the BCS took it too far. I thought the solution to the playoff back in the 90s, the whole goal was just to make sure you get the 2 best teams playing each other in the end. I thought they should just go back to the Conference Bowl tie-ins, Big 10, Pac-12 Rose Bowl, SEC Sugar Bowl, I guess Big 12 Fiesta Bowl, Cotton Bowl, whatever. Just play the bowl games and then just rank the top 2 teams and have a national championship after that. Just do a +1. And
Kevin says it gives Cinderella a chance at the big one. It does.
Cinderella's never going to win the big one, Kevin. Sorry.
Well, yeah, and to that point, Kevin, a Cinderella, you just don't see teams up and win very often that are outmatched in football. Football is the ultimate sport that usually the better team wins, right? I mean,
yeah, it's actually, as a matter of fact, there's a great book on, I forget what it's called. I just called it The Element of Randomness, like which sports have the most randomness, and like football's at the bottom. I mean, football has less randomness than basketball in the sense of, what I mean by that is every sport takes a lot of skill, but that doesn't mean every sport, the outcome of the game is going to be dictated by as much skill. There's like a skills to luck ratio. Like baseball and hockey take a lot of skill, but one baseball game or one hockey game is 70% luck at any level. Whereas I think football is about, I would say like 60-40. Football is more skill to luck. That's actually the problem with the NBA is the NBA is close to football in terms of skills to luck ratio. So I think NBA has more skill than luck in a game-to-game basis. So when you do a 7-game series, the better team, it's the opposite problem. The better team always wins. And I feel like you need some randomness, but not so much randomness like what baseball's doing now, where you have a 12-team playoff and somebody with 85 wins can back in to go to the World Series. I think that's bad for the sport too. So
yeah, I think what you're going to see is the first 2 rounds of the playoffs be good, and well, the first round would take it from 12 down to 8. So I think you're going to see good games there. I think you're going to see good games from 8 down to 4 in the middle games, which would be the 4-5, the 3-6. I think you're going to see good games there. I still think the 1s and 2s of the world are probably going to pound the 7s and the 8s of the world, which is what we have essentially seen with the 1s versus 4s and the 2 versus 3s. Boy, that's a lot of numbers. But that's essentially what we have seen to this point. I think you're going to continue to see that. Caleb, his appearance is brought to you by Alice Nest Barbecue in beautiful Ottawa, and they have all the barbecue supplies you could possibly need. Alice Nest Barbecue has it all, so certainly check them out. The rubs, the sauces, and the Green Mountain Grills that are fantastic. Tell them Off the Hook Sports sent you. I would certainly appreciate that. So let's get to today's tough question. I got a couple ideas I'm going to toss Amanda's way as we get up and rolling. Jonathan Crompton to join us a little bit later, and Coach Lance. So we look forward to that. Today's tough question is now.
We do our research. Have you done your research?
We're working like heck.
Today's tough question. What's the real debate?
You sipping my soupe, Guadalupe?
Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker and Amanda LaFratta.
You drinking my sake, Kimosabi?
Oh my God.
All right, guys, I'm just going to throw this into the middle of the field and let's scrum it up. I got 2 directions I could go because Amanda somewhat changed my mind because she said something earlier that caught my ear. Would you be, as a Tennessee fan base, we can go one of two directions. Would you be, as a Tennessee fan base, well, let's go this direction, disappointed with a 10-win season? If you look at the rest of the schedule, Tennessee will be favored in all but one game, and the expectations have changed. Would you be disappointed with a 10-win season? I cannot believe that I'm speaking the words, but at this point, if you look at the schedule, if you look at what should happen, Caleb just told you that football and happenstance usually don't go hand in hand. If you look at this schedule, Tennessee should finish the regular season 11-1. They should. Crazy already said he'd be mildly disappointed. Amanda, you're the world's best at how to phrase these things. How do you want to phrase it?
Well, I was going to say, after the win against Alabama, how far do you think this Tennessee team will go and put a 10-win season or SEC championship or playoffs or winning it all? Just to see where the fan base thinks this is headed.
Brittany said I would definitely be underwhelmed. Disappointed is a strong word. Okay, how would you feel if Tennessee only won 10 regular season games? How about we go disappointed, underwhelmed, cool with that, awesome, keep it in perspective. Something along those lines. Do you like that?
I mean, we can do that. I think you're going to just get a lot of, I would be disappointed.
That's what I want to see. I want to know if this fan base, because you shouldn't be. I mean, Caleb, at 10-2, I understand what's happened, but this is still a team with a secondary that ain't great. I mean, things could go wrong. Hendon Hooker could actually throw a couple of interceptions. If you look at the odds of probability, at some point he's going to throw a couple, right?
Yeah. And I think people forget just how I don't want to say that, I don't want to say this sounding wrong, how thin this Tennessee team still is in certain areas, and the secondary stands out the most.
I agree.
And I mean, but let's just not even talk the secondary. We're giving the defensive line a lot of praise for how they've played the last few weeks, and rightfully so. But what happens if Amari Thomas gets hurt? You know what I mean? I mean, they're I don't know how deep they are at defensive tackle. They're an injury or two away from having. What happens if on the offensive line, Cooper Mays or Darnell Wright gets hurt? You know, can they just throw guys in? We know they can do that at receiver, and we know they can't do that in the secondary. And that happens in football, particularly as it gets colder. How many times have we seen teams have really strong wins to get off to a 6-0, 7-0 start? They get to number 5 or number 4, and then they kind of flame out in November. I'm not saying Tennessee's going to flame out in November. I am saying that they're as vulnerable to that as any of these other teams that are well coached but just don't have the depth yet that they need to have. And I think 10-2 is worth keeping it in perspective in that regard. I also think that if you're worried, think about the long-term future about the program if they go 10-2. Clemson under Dabo Swinney from about 2011 to 2013 with Taj Boyd would reel off 5-0, 6-0 starts every year. They just weren't deep enough to maintain it down the stretch. But you know what they started doing? They started taking recruits away from Tennessee. T. Higgins, Amari Rogers, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. They were building a program based on those fast starts and those top 10 finishes, and it got them 2 national championships in 2016 and 2018. And so, again, I think that I said Tennessee needed to start 5-0, not for the sake of this season, for the sake of the future in recruiting. And we're already seeing this with recruiting. There were a bunch of recruits at both the Florida and the Alabama games. You don't think what they saw had an impact on them?
Oh, yeah.
And
After all, they made Boo Carter's top 12 yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
So ridiculous.
Oh, goodness gracious. Announcing a top 12, there were some that were led to believe that he was going to announce a commitment yesterday.
Yeah, but
anyway.
before that, you know, David Hobbs, they made his top 6 2 days ago, too. And remember, Hobbs was I'm sorry?
That's true. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Hobbs was going to North Carolina. He was not. And all sign, North Carolina, I'd still say is the favorite, but the fact that Tennessee's making a run at him is a huge deal. And I mean, that just shows what they're doing on the trail right now. And Yeah, keep in perspective. If they get an upset down the stretch, either to Kentucky at home or at South Carolina, yeah, that'd be bad. I will say this right now. I don't think Missouri or Vanderbilt's going to be an upset. I think they're going to sleepwalk their way to wins in those two.
I feel
But
the same way about South Carolina, but we could quibble over that point. So,
road
Y'all are
games, just a
peeing.
little.
You're
yeah.
peeing in people's cornflakes this morning, both of you. Pessimistic as all get out.
Are we being
Yeah.
You're
Yes,
saying
you
if they go
are.
10-2, they should be happy.
Yes, but what I'm saying is let these people ride this train for a moment. Let them
They're going to
go
have it for another
it.
week. They're beating UT Martin.
Yeah, we've done that all week. Thank you, Solo. Loving the show, Hook. I appreciate that. GBO from TK81. So thank you. So, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and say it that it would be a little. Okay, so let's phrase it: disappointed, underwhelmed, cool with that, awesome, better than expectation. So when you get that posted, I will reshare that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you what you should be to tell, and Amanda, to address your pessimistic point. I'm going to tell you what you should be. You should be darn happy. If Tennessee wins 10 games this season, that should not in any shape, form, or fashion be a disappointment. It should not.
But it seems like, and it's the same thing. This is the same problem I had with the whole, like, the referees are going to steal this game from you. It seems like we're setting people up to not get their hopes and dreams just crushed. Like that's what it seems like to me, that we're saying, okay, if you only win 10 games, you should be happy about it. Like, we're setting you up here so that when it all comes crashing down, then you're not going to be, looking over trying to jump off a bridge.
Well, no, I mean, there's no setup. There's just simply, I want to know what the fan base thinks.
Yeah, and let's keep this in perspective because people keep calling, we talked about it last week, Josh Heupel, Steve Spurrier 2.0. If that's the case, Steve Spurrier is on the Mount Rushmore of SEC coaches. He didn't lose fewer than 2 games until his 6th season on the job, 95. He lost at least 2 games from 1990 through 1994. Spurrier did. So I'm like, we're talking, again, 10-2 in your second year, given what you walked into. If you're Josh Heupel, I'm with Dave. They got to be like, they should be through the roof excited about that when you keep things in perspective.
After you beat Alabama, though, after you beat what was formerly number 1, now it's number 3.
Well, we already
was
agreed
number
that 11.
3.
I think every objective Tennessee fan would say 11-1 is the best case scenario, probably, because I don't think anybody thinks they're beating Georgia on the road. If they do, then Josh Heupel should get they should throw $100 million at him. You still think they're doing that, Amanda?
Yes, I do.
You're still calling it. Wow.
Yes,
okay.
I still think they're going to beat Georgia. I don't think Georgia.
Have you reset your expectations
good.
to 12-0 then?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, that's our. That seems
Just
like
saying.
a pretty appropriate question then.
I mean, if they beat Georgia and went out, Heupel should get $100 million a year salary. He should be the highest paid coach in college football.
That's a lot, but it's not Georgia. I've said this from the beginning. I do not think Georgia is that good. There are 3 games that they've played this season where they've looked like dog crap. If you're going to give me, if I have to choose between Hendon Hooker and Josh Heupel or Stetson Bennett and Kirby Smart, I'm taking Hendon Hooker and Josh Heupel. And it's not because Tennessee's full of talent and they're talented in areas, don't get me wrong. It's because the way that Heupel's coaching and the way that they're running the offense, I just, what do we call it? A veer raid? The way that they're doing that, I just don't see how Georgia's going to be able to stop them. That's just my opinion.
Okay, so what are our options? Let's close this deal. What are our options?
Devastated, a little disappointed, better than expected, stoked.
I love it. I'll tell you what you should be. You should be stoked. But I think that what's going to happen is that you will see Tennessee fans be in that second category. I think.
Wow, Jason Martin says she's schooling us. Okay.
David said, and people are and somebody said in our chat board too that Brittany said the rest of the schedule is just so favorable, with the exception of Georgia. It is. Solo saying, no, we beat Alabama. Let's win it all now. This window doesn't open very often. It doesn't. So, yeah, let's get that question out there. And
It's out there.
Oh, okay, great. I didn't get a notification.
Well, then also, I will say, if they go 11-1 and lose to Georgia, and Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship game, I mean, they're still probably in the playoff at that point. If Alabama beats Georgia, it's probably not going to matter. But if Tennessee goes 11-1 and loses, no, I'm saying if Tennessee goes 11-1 and loses to Georgia, and Georgia goes undefeated, I think the best move then would be for Georgia to beat Alabama, because then Tennessee's only loss would be to an undefeated Georgia team. If Georgia goes undefeated and loses to Alabama, which of the two? They're not going to put 3 SEC teams in the playoffs. Everybody's talking about that. That's not happening, guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that if Tennessee loses to Georgia and then Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, I do not think that Tennessee gets in. I think they're the 5th team, first man.
And Alabama and Georgia get in together.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
I don't think they're going to get 3 teams in.
No, I don't think they'll get 3 teams in at all. But I think if Georgia beats Tennessee, depending on how close that game is and its home field advantage for Georgia, if they beat Tennessee, barely squeak by and win that game, because I don't think it's going to be a blowout if Georgia beats Tennessee. There's no way. If they squeak by Tennessee and then they go and they lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game, I think that Tennessee goes. And I think Alabama goes. I think Georgia gets left behind.
Yeah, but that's tough, particularly if you look at the whole resume. What if Oregon keeps winning and Georgia's got the best non-conference win of all of them now, of Tennessee?
Well, we would all agree, I believe, that it's going to be that the winner of Michigan Ohio State's going to get in, right?
They're
Obviously,
easily getting in, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, Georgia would have the best resume of the Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia all having one loss.
I don't know, because those 3 games that Georgia struggled against Mizzou, they struggled against Mizzou. I mean,
yeah, but they also beat Oregon
real bad. But
I mean, Oregon.
But that was the
win.
Yeah, but they had a whole year to prepare for Oregon. That was their first game going in. They had a whole year to prepare for that game. So they knew exactly what Oregon was going to do. Plus, Oregon has Bo Nix, and they play in the Pac-12. Like, Oregon
but
is not...
If you're comparing non-conference wins, like Tennessee's is an overtime at Pitt, Georgia's is 49.
Oh, we lost a little something with Caleb there. What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, Caleb's breaking up. Caleb, we lost you.
Oh, sorry.
We got
I think I'm back.
Go ahead and finish your point. Go ahead.
I was saying, I just think Oregon is Alabama's best win is best non-conference win is a close one at Texas. Tennessee's best is a close one at Pitt. Georgia is beating the brakes off of Oregon. And honestly, you put Oregon against Pitt or Oregon against Texas on a neutral field, I think Oregon wins against either of those teams by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, maybe even more. I think Oregon blows out either of those teams.
Caleb, you're doing a fantastic job. I appreciate it. I got to get to Jonathan Crompton, and I'm not going to ask for your prediction against UT Martin, but I am going to ask for your prediction on the remainder of the season. So 9, 10, 11, 12 wins, if you had to call it right now, given what you've seen. Quickly.
Okay, I'd actually go 11, believe it or not. Even though I'm saying they should be happy with 10, I would go 11.
Love it. All right. I appreciate it, Caleb. We'll talk to you soon. You can check out Caleb's fantastic work on Off the Hook Sports. Appreciate you, buddy.
Have a good one, guys.
Jonathan
Caleb.
Crompton coming up next. Devastated is how you should feel if Tennessee just wins 10 games. Devastated. Heartbroken. Forlorn. Is it forlorn or forlorn? Forlorn?
Forlorn, not forlorn.
Devastated. Pull out your thesaurus. Big Orange Philly's great place to watch the game. 2 minutes. Jonathan Crompton joins us. It's in North Knoxville. Easy to get to. JC up next.
Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Dish Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, but Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
Welcome back, joined by a very special guest, a guy that I love talking to, and there's no shortage of things to talk about. Jonathan Crompton joins us, former Tennessee quarterback. Jonathan, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Did you talk about Tennessee football at all this week to anybody that you might have bumped into? Anything happen over the past 6 days since we last spoke?
I would say people are starting to chatter a little bit. I'll say it that way,
Chatter or scream and yell.
Yeah, pretty much.
And all the above. Jonathan's appearance brought to you in part by Zool Beer Company. That's ZoolBeer.com, XUL. If you're listening to just the audio, please like, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate that. And Zool Beer Company has worldwide award-winning craft beer, which isn't easy to say, and a great place downtown with parking, which you don't hear about downtown Knoxville very often. So, Jonathan, let's do a reset here.
There's a festival tomorrow, by the way. Zool Beer's throwing their own festival. Just
cool.
Over 50 vendors. Wanted to just go ahead and put that out there. It's
going
to be a huge day tomorrow. So if you go,
huge.
Yeah, you can go to Eventbrite and get your tickets. Called Kill the Lights Festival.
Sweet. All right. So, Jonathan, it was 6 days ago, depending on people were watching this, that Tennessee beat Alabama, and it still sounds somewhat weird to say. What were your thoughts on the game, as I haven't spoken to you since we last spoke before the game?
There's a lot, but guys played well, made, team that makes the fewest mistakes will win, right? One of the game maxims. We inside the program, that's teached and preached a lot, but taking advantage of opportunities, right? And so when people are going, oh, well, refs this, refs that, dude, that's part of the game. That's just reality of the game. Either way, good, bad, and different, as long as they're consistent. We handed them a touchdown. They essentially handed us a touchdown on their dumb punt return. We'll just call it that way. So, it kind of evened out, and I do think the better team won on Saturday in the end, just because of how we played top to bottom. Start to finish, it was as clean of a game as you can play without just literally handing somebody a game that you shouldn't handle. So I think the guys played well. I think the coaching staff adjusted better than Alabama, and not many teams can say that's happened in the past 15 years.
Yep. No, and I agree. I looked at that game at halftime, and I thought Tennessee was winning both sides of the line of scrimmage. And I looked at the skill position players. You take away Jahmyr Gibbs, and if he doesn't transfer in, that's a middle of the pack at best set of skill positions.
Yes. That kid is special.
Yeah, he is special.
I don't care what anybody says. That kid is unreal. But no, you're right. If he doesn't come in, they're still good. But you're not first in the West type team without him.
Agreed. So I at halftime thought Tennessee was the better team. I thought that they might actually win by a couple of touchdowns. They won up front on both sides of the ball. You said it. I think the better team on the field was Tennessee. I don't think they lucked out in any shape, form, or fashion.
No, I definitely don't. And every week there's going to be on whoever's playing. It doesn't matter if it's Utah State, Utah, right? The team that loses, their fans are always going to say stuff. That's just sports, right? That's just the fun part of it. I wouldn't necessarily say fun part, but it's part of it. So everybody's saying, oh, well, there's so many flags called. Alabama literally did hold a lot. Number 14, Branch got exposed. Their star nickel defender, or he's not star. He's called a star. His position, and he got exposed on cannot play man coverage. Right, he got some costly PI calls, and they were legitimate PI calls. Alabama got away with one on the third goal from the 16, throwing it up. That was an offensive PI. They got called to a defensive PI against us. You score a touchdown, right? That's just football is what I'm trying to get at. The reality is the refs, you can only review so many plays. Good, bad, and different. There's nothing you can do from the human element. I think our guys did a good job of overcoming it. And, I feel bad for Alabama. And if you look when they play Ole Miss, and not because of Lane Kiffin, because Ole Miss is going to play just as fast as we play on offense, and they are going to try to expose them. And they've shown they can throw for 400, and they've shown they can run for 400. So Alabama legitimately has a chance to lose 2 SEC games this year.
Yeah, it could happen. Amanda?
Let's move on to our today's tough question. If Tennessee goes 10-2, would you be disappointed with that, or how would you feel about that?
No, and anybody that says they're disappointed with a 10-2 season is delusional. And I say that meaning that is not just for Tennessee. That goes for any team. If people understood how hard it is to win 10 games, especially in the SEC, right? That's winning mathematically like 85%. If you do that consistently, that's what's made Nick Saban so feared by everybody. That's kind of what he averages over his career. That is absurd, right? Everybody's milestone is to get to double-digit wins. Look at the NFL. If they get to 10 wins, you got a really good chance of winning your division. Well, you got 17 games. That still means you lose 7, right? So in college, you have a lot less room for error. You only get 12 games. So I would say no, nobody should ever be disappointed with 10 wins. But on the counter side of that, the good part is people are starting to talk about that is a disappointment because we're getting back to that level, right? It's really hard to get them.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, all right, I look at this team. I see a South Carolina team that I didn't think in the beginning of the season was very good. They're not very good. I don't think Missouri or Vanderbilt are very good. I think Kentucky is scary. Georgia, they will be underdogs in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I say that 10-2 is kind of rock bottom at this point, given
but given where we're at,
right?
But that's what I'm getting at. At 6-0, you go, well, damn, if we go 4-2, blah blah blah, right? Because knowing who we got left, I'm just talking about from the grand scheme of things,
right?
If people are going to say a 10-win season from week 1, but from here on out, I can see where you're going with that because you still got to play each game. But the only game will be an underdog from here on out is Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, depending on how they play and how we play the next 2 weeks, it might be like a 1 or 2 point spread, though. Just depending, because their offense is good, but they're not as high powered as ours. Our defense is not as high powered as theirs. So it's going to be a good matchup.
The early line, which could change, I've been told will be at about 10 or 11.
See, I don't.
Yeah, I don't get that.
For Vegas, I understand because they're trying to make money back that they just lost against Tennessee and Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with the number. That's just what I've been told, John. I 10 or 11 to me, but you got to remember LSU was a 4.5 point favorite preseason. So that number could change drastically. But Tennessee's going to be a touchdown favorite against everybody they play except for Georgia.
Yes. And I totally agree. I've said it after week 1. I was saying the whole year 11-1. But this is a conversation that I saw. Everybody's been seeing the memes now. What happens? And my dad and his buddies were on a group chat, and very select few want to agree with this comment. What does the NCAA do if Ole Miss does beat Alabama? Oh, no. I mean, sorry. Alabama beats Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 11-1. Georgia beats us. We're 11-1. Bama beats Georgia in the SEC championship, and they're both 12-1. Well, there's your top 4 teams. I don't care what anybody says. ACC does not deserve a team with Clemson's resume. It's just the bottom line. Syracuse is not a top 13 team this week because they have literally beat Virginia by 2, Purdue by 2 or 3. Like they beat NC State without their starting quarterback. Their resume is not that great. So to me, is that the NCAA's worst nightmare? That you have 2 11-1 and 2 12-1 teams in the SEC that should be your top 4?
It has to be. I mean, they're moving to they're moving to that 12-team playoff, and I've said people are always national media wise, except for people who covered the SEC, are always the first to say, oh, there's an SEC bias. I know Danny Cannell is like the biggest one about how, everybody loves the SEC and there's an SEC bias and all this other stuff. Well, when we get to that 12-team playoff, I wonder how everyone's going to feel when there's 4 SEC teams in there every year.
When it's the 4, after the playoff, it's the 4 that are left are SEC teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Because think about it. Look at Ohio, and this is on our Saturday game day show. I talked smack with this guy named Big Ten Jeff. We joke with each other about it because he's an Ohio State fan. To me, look at Ohio State's resume. We're going in. What week of the season is this going to be?
7.
Yeah, we're going into week 7,
including bye weeks.
Yes.
So it's not week 8.
No, it'd be week 8. Yes, I'm sorry.
Ohio State has only played 1 road game.
Yeah.
1. And so Ohio State's now about to only play their 2nd road game of the year, and their closest battle was against Toledo. So you're going to tell me their resume is any good? This is where the preseason rankings, and this is the same thing for Alabama right now, though. It's where the preseason rankings hurt other teams. Okay, in the sense of if there were the preseason rankings were just blown up, Tennessee would be number 1 right now. Off a resume. We're the only team to beat 4 ranked teams out of 6 games. That is the reality of a resume. So that's what I'm getting at is like Ohio State and Michigan still got to play. Ohio State's got Penn State. But there's a legit chance that the top 4 teams are SEC teams, but they won't pick 4 SEC teams because of the national media. So who would get left out?
I don't think they'll, based on people I've talked to, I don't think they'll pick 3.
And you're right. I don't think they would. They should, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't think you could have the scenario you laid out. You could also have the scenario of Georgia beats Tennessee and then Alabama beats Georgia. So you could argue, and let's say Ole Miss has 2 losses just for the sake of this argument. Yeah. Then you have 3 teams that would be deserving to be in the top 4. I've been told that there's no way the college football playoff is going to take 3 SEC teams, but it's looking like they probably should as of right now.
They should. And the reason why, this is where I'm an advocate of blowing up the championship game weekend. And here's why. This scenario, Alabama's won it twice and didn't play in Atlanta. Ohio State's won it once and didn't play in Indianapolis. So the championship doesn't mean anything besides a damn banner.
No, you're right.
At this point, it used to mean a lot. But at this point, all it is just a banner to hang at your school. That's it. It means nothing at all for college football playoff implications. So for us, for the University of Tennessee, Do we really, really, really want to play in Atlanta and risk a loss?
I was thinking the same thing this morning.
For banner and for competitiveness, 100%. But for college football playoff implications, do we really want to be in Atlanta? Because all we got to do is go and say, hey, if Georgia beats us, we're the Georgia fans this weekend. Georgia beat Alabama. Alabama's out. We're in. We don't have to get anybody beat up. We don't have to flip a coin to see if we win. That's the hard part about what they've built with the NCAA and how they've allowed this playoff atrocity to happen with only 4 teams. That's where, Mike Leach says it best like 5 or 6 years ago when he went on one of his little pirate rants of
I love him. I love him.
Oh, I know. He's such a gem for how everybody but Division I football does playoffs. But we're so much smarter than everybody because we're Division I football. But everybody does playoffs, high school, Division III, Division II, FCS, NFL, CFL. Everybody does playoffs but Division I because, we have it all figured out. And watching that video and you go, dude, you're right. 100% right. We should be in a playoff, but it's about money, so they want bowl game money instead of finding the actual best team in football, because as long as Clemson doesn't slip up ever, they're in because ACC sucks. As long as Ohio State doesn't slip up because they always have Michigan's number, they're in, doesn't matter. Right? So there's 2 of the teams automatically. So you've got 131 other teams battling for 2 spots. That's not how it should be. And that's where I'm not, obviously I want to go 15-0. But if I'm trying to play the odds, because if we beat Georgia and we play in Atlanta, God forbid we lose in Atlanta, then Georgia has a better case than we do because the last resume game was a loss. And that's happened, and Alabama's gotten in that way before. So that's where I'm kind of torn of. Obviously, I want to go 15-0. I'm torn on trying to play Russian roulette, I guess.
Yeah, I don't blame you, and that is true. Alabama got in over Auburn, who went to the SEC championship game and then lost. And Alabama had the 1 loss to Auburn and went on to the playoffs. So my question is, let's go to something we talked about last time, how Bryce Young and the shoulder injury that he had, and you said something that resonated with me, and it was, I hope they don't, give him all those shots and send him out there to make him feel better. I don't know if they did or if they didn't, but he looked like he played really, really well. I want to flip it to go to Will Levis. Will Levis at Kentucky. He took a pretty similar hit in the last game. And in halftime, people are saying, he's going to be out for the rest of the game. Halftime, he came out and it was clear that during the locker room, in the locker room, they probably did what you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
How bad is that going to affect Will Levis moving forward? Because we know that shoulder's not healed. There's no.
Oh, he's not going to feel it. The announcers, they even had to correct themselves and say, he's going to take a shot right now. A shot with a needle, right? They said that on live TV. Everybody knows, and that's one negative of major time college football is you got to play. They don't, and I'm going to say it, and it is what it is. They don't give a damn about you as an individual, as a human being, and the rest of your life body functions, so to speak. They don't care if you're 35, 40, 45, 50, and you get, long-lasting effects from all the cortisone they shoot in you, all the Toradol they give you, blah, 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 right? Your liver and kidneys are going to start failing. They don't care. They want to win that Saturday. So there's 100% chance that Will Levis took a shot in his shoulder, and he probably took a cortisone shot on Monday, took Tuesday off, was ready for Wednesday because you got to have that off day in between. And he's been on Toradol since Wednesday afternoon and will quit it on Saturday morning when he gets a Toradol shot on top of the other stuff. So he doesn't feel it. And there's, especially when, and I've been vocal, I don't agree with it. I don't see how they've got him ranked number 4 quarterback in this draft. That should tell you how bad the draft is. I think he's a hell of an athlete. He is not a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion. But he is the heart and soul of their team. heart and soul of their team. If he doesn't play, they suck.
Yeah.
If he plays, they believe in him. So I truly think I'd be willing to bet a lot that I'm right on how that scenario went down. You know, because he's taking a beating right now.
Yeah.
I think the usage of Toradol is a lot more prevalent than people either understand or want to understand. And I think that's across the board. I'm wondering what the Mercedes-Benz Dome would be like if it were to be Tennessee and Ole Miss in the SEC championship.
Man, I've called it since week 3. I said, just watch. I said the football gods are wanting Tennessee Ole Miss because of Lane Kiffin and Josh Heupel. They are. It's some way, shape, or form, it's going to end up happening. I truly believe it. Whether Georgia beats us or not, and then Georgia just says, oh, my God, we're better than we are, and slip up on some stupid game or something. I really think it's going to happen. And if it does, it is going to be just unreal with the media and Lane trolling everybody, right? With his memes. Oh, it's going to be – I'm going to enjoy it. I'll just say that. I'm going to sit back and just watch and just listen to the little smart aleck comments, just random, right? Or the little tweet or game day last week, go Vols, right? Just stuff like that. That would be a dream come true to watch that happen, that matchup happen.
No, you talk great storylines. That's as good as it gets, and it is possible. I actually think, though, John, based off what I've seen so far this season, that Ole Miss is more likely to hold up their end of the bargain and get there than, if I had to pick one, than Tennessee. I like Ole Miss's chances to beat Alabama more than I like Tennessee's chances to beat Georgia. You agree or disagree?
When does Ole Miss play Alabama? Is it 2 weeks? Is it the same week we play Georgia then? So 3 weeks, I guess?
I would have to check.
It's Mississippi State.
It's somewhere close. I don't know exactly when, but as long as it's not too far down the line, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I think Georgia's a hell of a team. They're the defending champs. They deserve that outlook, right? But Kirby Smart is not Nick Saban, and that is not a slight. There's a reason why there's only one Nick Saban. I think if we can out scheme Georgia, we have better. Our receivers out wide are better than Georgia's secondary as far as how we're going to run our schematics. And by that point, we should have Tillman back. So if that's the case, you got Tillman, Hyatt, and Brew McCoy, pick your poison. Right? Who are you going to try to double cover, because you can't double cover them all. So I'll be honest with you, I kind of like our chances more just because I think our quarterback's better. Lane's going to be very, very schematically different than we are, because he's really good about playing to your weaknesses. But just because of Hendon versus Dart, that is the only reason why I would say us. If you take everything else, then I would say, I would give them the better chance, just because I think Alabama's secondary is awful this year compared to Nick Saban's normal secondary. Right. Let's say it that way. They're not awful players, but the Nick Saban norm, we'll just say that way, they're not nearly as good. But because of Hendon is the reason why I would give us the edge in those two matchups.
Would Tennessee have an edge over Ole Miss or playing Alabama a second time if they were to make it?
Ole Miss. I don't care what anybody says. You never want to play a Nick Saban team twice. That is not, backing down, blah, blah, blah. No, that's just being a smart competitor. Understanding that the more times you give Nick Saban the chance, the more times history has shown that he will beat you. And not to say that we can't beat him twice, but why would you want to try to play a team twice coached by Nick Saban versus maybe hopefully getting – because Ole Miss doesn't have as good of a secondary as Alabama. All right? They don't. Ole Miss offense is high-powered. Yes, they got a couple really good tailbacks. Yes. our defense is getting better. So why not take our chances in a game that realistically could be a shootout like Alabama, but not having as much pressure of knowing that the mistake level is so much smaller against Bama versus most other teams.
Interesting.
That's very true. So let's see. I have to ask you the ultimate question because I think a lot of people want to know. Picking a coach right now, you have your choice, offensive-minded coach. You have Lane Kiffin or you have Josh Heupel. Who would you go with and why?
Why y'all got to do this to me?
Honestly,
that might be one of the toughest questions anybody's asked. Let me preference it this way. I don't think at this stage, I don't think you can go wrong. But if it's me personally, I'm going to lean Lane just because I played for Lane and I know him. I don't know Heupel. That's the only reason why I would lean that way at this moment. But if you look at both their teams, you can tell everybody buys into them. You can tell everybody wants to play for them, right? The players go to bat for them every game. So I don't think you go wrong. But just because of prior relationship with Lane, I would have to lean that way. But I wouldn't sit here and say that it's just a complete rollover going over to Lane's side. And I've also said this. I don't think it'll happen, right? I really don't. But I've also said if for some reason Heupel ever just says, screw it, I'm out, Lane will be back in Knoxville. I'm telling you. Fans forgive very easily. They do. If you win, they forgive. It doesn't matter. All they want is W's. If there's ever a chance for him to be back and end his career there, it'll happen in some way, shape, or form. I don't think that happens for a while from now because Heupel does not want to leave. You can tell, right? That's his destination job, and I'm glad we finally have that. But 10, 12, 14 years from now, you never say never. We'll just say it that way.
No, I wouldn't rule that out. And I think there is there is still a love for Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
from Lane's perspective, and I think the fans would be okay with it. I would, but again, obviously that's getting way down the road.
Yeah.
When you look at purely from a quarterback standpoint, when you look at C.J. Stroud and Hendon Hooker, what do you make out of those two guys? I won't ask you to necessarily cast my Heisman vote, but how comparable are they? They both have really good receivers, but I think most people would say Ohio State probably before, especially with Tillman out, have been maybe a little bit better. But just when you look at them doing an eval of those two guys, how do you compare?
So this is where I saw a comment a little bit ago about I don't understand how they do the rankings. I would love to be behind closed doors because some of these people you can tell don't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay.
With
Bryce Young is really good.
With the rankings
for draft.
Oh, okay.
But it's also, if you look at the draft rankings versus Heisman rankings for quarterback, it's relatively close. Yeah. Bryce Young's really good. Then C.J. Stroud, you go, you're going to have to prove to me that you're not the typical Ohio State quarterback. That is and this is nothing against C.J. I don't know the kid. Throws a really good ball, but it's also like I said the same thing. I've never been sold on Tua. Tua threw to 4 first-round receivers, 2 first-round tailbacks, a third-round tailback. You feel like it didn't matter who you put back there. It didn't matter. Same thing with CJ at Ohio State. You threw to 2 first-round receivers last year, probably a couple more this year. You got to prove that you can play with non-first-round talent, right? And that's where with Hendon has turned these guys into national names, not them turning him into national names. That's the difference. And that's why for Hendon, I mean, if you look, what is it, 50 touchdowns, 3 turnovers, and not even 2 seasons? He's turned those guys into playmakers by giving them shots. CJ stepped into last year as a first-year starter, having 2 first-round receivers on his team by saying, dude, just wherever I'm at, find me, blah, blah, blah. And that's what they do. And that's why I would give my edge to Hendon, because if you were looking at best player in the country, player is a very broad definition. But part of that definition is you bring out the best in other people. Hence what Hendon has done.
Good point.
Right? Not they have made my life easy. I made my life hard and made their life easy. And that's what Hendon's done. That's why I would give the edge to him. And that is not a slight on C.J. Stroud. He's a hell of a player. I just don't think he'll be a very good pro. But that's down the road.
Okay, last thing. Brandon on our chat board said, what NFL system does Jonathan think Hooker would fit the best in? I have a thought. But
go ahead, because
I was going to say Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury.
I can give you that, and that's you pretty much have now 2 options. This is where I go back to the NFL draft rankings. It's very tough for me to sit here and go, oh yeah, all those rankings are right, because they're atrocious in half the time at every position. I was actually having this talk yesterday with a couple buddies of mine. The reality is when you're like a Belichick, people always hate on Belichick. Well, Belichick drafts people that doesn't matter if you're on a 4.29, doesn't matter if you jump 44 inches, doesn't matter if you 12'4" broad jump. Can you play football? Gerard Mayo is that definition. Projected 3rd round and gets 10th overall and had a hell of a career because that dude could play football. He knew where the ball was going and would beat you to that point. Not just, oh, he runs a 4.29. That's the thing about NFL football with a lot of scouts, right? And a lot of organizations that the college, what I'm trying to get is the college system in today doesn't always translate or transfer over. So you got Arizona, you've got Baltimore, and used to be Carolina, but I don't know what they're going to do with that guy out. So if you're going to be a young quarterback coming out and you're trying to change that narrative from the system you're in college, you need to go to a Shanahan or a McVay. So like an LA, San Francisco, to let them really teach you NFL quarterback football. Because the hard part about college football now, outside of very few systems, you don't get taught that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the give and take. I see a comment, Colts would not be a bad spot because you're going to get taught NFL football. How long they're going to be there, who knows, right? But that would be kind of the things. If you want to go play now, you got to go to the college-style system, which you really only got about 2 left. Or you need to go to a system that is willing to let you sit and learn and adjust and take those learning curves and be on the bench for 2 or 3 years to understand how to really play the system in the game. Because once again, you don't get taught that in today's college.
No, you're right. There's some of these offenses that I think are such simplistic reads that, Jonathan, they almost remind me of kind of a triple option attack in that it's a way to overcome a talent differential. And I think there's some of that in what Tennessee does, but we'll see if it grows beyond that.
But you're right on that. So I can just say it's also overcome the talent, but it's also to overcome the coaching too. And
yeah,
I've said it before, and I'm stealing this from somebody that I know. Just because you're a college coach doesn't mean you know football, right? Yeah. That's the harsh reality. Penn State is the best or the worst of the best or the best of the worst. Either way you want to go with it.
Prime example.
They can recruit the hell out of you, but they will never coach you when you get there. That's just what it is. It's gonna look great running out there and whatever they call their stadium. I'm drawing a blank. And their whiteout, it's gonna look great, but you're not gonna get developed at any position. Are you gonna run a 4.2 or you're not? Are you gonna jump 44 inches or you're not? That's where the kids nowadays have to kind of you got to be very smart about where you go. But now with the transfer portal, I'm not mad at it. because you may get fooled into recruiting and go, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I'm going somewhere else where I can actually get developed. I'm not mad at all that.
Yep. Great stuff.
Alabama plays Ole Miss November 12th. They play a week after the Georgia game.
That's our Missouri game then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Great stuff, Jonathan. As always, we really appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week. And good stuff, buddy. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Jonathan Crompton joining us. Nice enough. Beaver Stadium. By the way, Penn State.
Doesn't it have a name? Not just Beaver Stadium.
They call it Happy Valley.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Death Valley, Happy Valley.
They haven't been happy in Happy Valley in a long, long time.
Well, the last time they were happy.
So it's I with the James Franklin thing, I think he's a great recruiter and there's room for that, but he has to convince the absolute best coordinators in the world to run both sides of the ball, because he is not a great schematic coach. That's the bottom line. And that is exactly where Penn State is going to be until they part ways with James Franklin. It's really weird, the Penn State-James Franklin relationship, because it's almost like they both kind of want out of it, but they kind of don't. It's like the two parents that are sticking it out till the kids get to college.
Yeah, I think it's like the relationship with like the hot girl and the hot guy where they both kind of want out of it, but then they're like, well, I don't know if I'll get anything better.
Could be. Nutrition World, fantastic place to pick up your supplements and the absolute best place. Let me tell you something. If you're going to other places to get your supplements, you don't exactly know that they're the highest quality. Trust me, you don't. Well, you know that at Nutrition World. That's nutritionw.com, nutritionw.com. Go to Nutrition World. You can Google them, one of the best e-commerce stores. I'll have it out to you in no time. Best prices. But at the end of the day, you're putting this in your body. Do you really want to put something in your body that you're not 100% sure about? Well, I can tell you that Nutrition World, nutritionw.com will take care of you and give you the best supplements possible. Coming up, Coach Lance will join us. Some message board bingo. You got to hang with me for 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
It's Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ooltewah. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Sports history, putting things in perspective Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
You're so old. When you were a kid, rainbows were black and white.
And Amanda LaFratta.
New Kids on the Block just called. They wanted you as a backup dancer.
Let's go ahead and bring in Coach Lance, who joins us. He is an internet phenomenon. He's a World Wide Web sensation. He is very funny, and he is still undefeated, at least when I was last told. Let's bring Coach Lance in here as we get to this day in sports history. Coach Lance, how are you, sir?
Oh, God. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Well, you got your cigar there. Still smoking.
A bit early.
6 days.
Well, it's not that it's early. I just haven't stopped since Saturday. It's been a really long week. It's been great, though.
My gosh, and take you to the hospital.
What about Hendon Hooker, by the way? And I love this. Don't take this, guys, as any sort of negative. But after the game, Captain Fuddy Duddy, I didn't smoke any. I don't smoke cigars.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, I noticed there was no pictures of him with a cigar. I was like, well,
good for
the guy's
him.
got to keep his body clean and tip-top shape for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
good for him.
Well, I don't have a problem with it. They don't need to trick him into using tobacco products like the old candy cigarettes.
That's
Boy,
right.
remember those, Coach Lance?
Yeah, they tasted horrible. Candy cigarettes taste like chalk.
Yeah, and then you could like blow them out and it would blow the. Okay, there's two different kinds of candy
I don't
cigarettes.
remember the ones you could blow out.
Wow. There were like the bubble gum sticks that had the powder
what I
around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you went, it would blow out like smoke. Like it looked like smoke.
So you could pretend like you were smoking.
Yeah, and then there were like the sticks that literally looked like they were in a pack, like cigarette pack, and they were like little candy sticks, and they had like red on the bottom of it and brown on the top, so they looked like a cigarette.
I feel like we were like 3 episodes away from Mad Men. And did you guys watch Mad Men?
So
No.
It was all about protecting the tobacco industry from rightful persecution. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like we were about 3 episodes away from Don Draper going, whoa, I have an idea. Candy cigarettes. How about that? Ooh.
That'll do it.
Yeah. We'll start them young. And then as soon as they're 18 or before, they can hit the real stuff because it's toasted and not bad for you. Basically what the whole show is about.
Well, when I was a kid, little kid, I used to put bubble tape in my back pocket so it looked like a skull can.
Oh my gosh.
That's true.
But it was just bubble tape.
And do you remember when they had the beef jerky in the skull looking can?
Oh yeah.
That was good. That was good.
Oh yeah, I had that in the back of my little league pants at 12 years old, and they're like, that kid's terrible at baseball, but he's dipping, so let's put him in the game.
Dave never had candy cigarettes because when he was a kid, they just smoked real cigarettes back then.
Oh, that's right.
You can buy them still. They
Candy
still
cigarettes?
sell them. Yes.
That's ridiculous. It's like the whole gummy thing. If you want to take your THC, that's fine. Go for it. But does it have to look like a children's treat so your kid can walk up and eat some of them? I mean,
That's the fun of it, I think.
That's how I get my kids to go to sleep at night.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
In all sincerity, though, there was a very, very talented player out of, I'm not going to name him because there's no point in calling him out of North Knoxville that signed with Tennessee, and he left the white stuff out, and his kids got into it. And that kind of derailed his career. That was bad. And so I don't understand. I don't understand why the gummies have to look like exactly like what kids eat.
Right. Yeah. Well, sometimes you leave your cocaine just sitting around. You just never know where you might leave it.
That's on me, young one. All right. This day in sports history, October the 21st, 1972.
Look at that.
How about this?
Roundup. Yeah.
Oh, look. Yeah, if you're listening on audio, Amanda's actually pulled up the screen where you can still order candy cigarettes.
Amazon, $12, and they have a 4.5-star rating. So just FYI.
Well, if you're ordering candy cigarettes, then you're probably happy with them once you get them because it's like a novelty, right? I mean, you're not expecting flavor.
Look, they have Lucky Lights.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I will.
Get some.
Can you go ahead and order some of those? Because I would like to give them out to trick-or-treaters.
Here you go, kids.
Shut this
Start
your
practicing
ear.
now.
Don't come back next year.
You don't have a lot of trick-or-treaters, do you?
No, you have.
We do. We have like 8. This is like the neighborhood where people drop their kids off.
I've been in one of those neighborhoods,
Wow.
and I lost
Yeah.
my son when he was like 10 years old or 8 years old, and I thought I'd lost him forever. We had cops, so it was one of those type of neighborhoods where cops would be there. But anyway, to make sure that people from other neighborhoods would come to our neighborhood. It was bizarre. So I can see how your neighborhood would be like that. People are scared to death to come up to my house. It's like a big long driveway. October 21st, 1972, Rocky Top, first played by the Pride of the Southland Band at halftime of the Tennessee-Alabama game. As part of a country music show, it immediately became a Vol staple. Brittany Campbell is awesome. Number 5 Tennessee beat number 8 Alabama 21-0. That is awesome. So this day in Tennessee sports history is phenomenal. That is super cool. And it's brought to you by Andy Mason. Don't make a mistake in real estate that'll cost you thousands of dollars. Do not do that. Go with Andy Mason. And Andy Mason's group has over 40 years of experience in the real estate field. Go to andymasonrealestate.com, andymasonrealestate.com. Tell them Off the Hook Sports sent you. And again, I didn't know that Andy Mason was a realtor. We went to high school together. This is years ago when I was in my 20s. Bought a house, got shuffled through the system, cost me thousands of dollars. That will not happen with AndyMasonRealEstate.com. So, yeah, go ahead and order some of those candy cigarettes and see if we can give some away. I actually, as long as my driveway is, I'll just stand at the end of the driveway and hand them out.
Toss them.
Yeah, just throw it.
You should just
and
throw them.
Go ahead and get me the beef jerky skull cans as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
not your wife, but I do want to say something. Breaking news right now. Lane Kiffin. No, seriously, Lane Kiffin just tweeted out a picture that says, "I learned that home isn't a place, it's a feeling."
I agree with that. Yeah,
no, but it's really weird because I tagged him in one of our tweets with Jonathan Crompton about how he'll come back to Tennessee whenever, if he has the chance, he'll come back. And then, he just tweeted out, "I've learned that home isn't a place, it's a feeling." He's just a big troll.
Oh, yeah, he's probably watching right now. So go ahead, Lane, if you don't mind, go ahead and tweet us out. I'd say there's a pretty good chance of that. It's tight. I saw a picture of Lane's son. He's going to be quite the ladies' man. Good-looking kid. Like his dad's a good-looking guy too. So yeah, Lane, if you don't mind, go ahead and tweet that out. And I had Knox on the radio one time, and he's maybe got a future in broadcasting as well. Who knows? Maybe one day, instead of Lane Kiffin coming back to Tennessee, as we discussed, maybe Knox Kiffin will be a Tennessee head coach one day.
That would be
very odd.
The most Tennessee thing ever to happen would be for Lane Kiffin's son to come coach at Tennessee. I mean, his name's Knox. I mean, it's perfect. So
yes.
Would they let him in, though? That's the thing. Would they let Lane, if his son coached, if Knox coached at Tennessee, would Tennessee fans let Lane come to the games?
Lane would be like Monty.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Knox would be the head coach, and then Lane could be Monty. But I did ask Knox when I had him on the radio, I said, "Are you going to be an offensive coach like your dad, or are you going to be a defensive coach like your grandfather?" And he goes, "Offense." But that wasn't even, that was like he thought that was the dumbest question 25-year career I'd ever asked. I mean, of course.
That's a long way down the road because Heupel is going to be here for a long time.
I think you will. You
right?
will. So how wild did things get in Coach Lance's abode when Tennessee beat Alabama?
Oh, it was wild. I had to
You
delete all the videos on my phone. I videoed a bunch of stuff and I deleted them all because I didn't want them to get out. It was wild.
What did you do? Something inappropriate?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So awkward.
100% inappropriate. Hey, honey.
No, I'm kidding. We had a good time.
Hey, honey, Tennessee, Alabama won. Let's film something inappropriate.
Not that inappropriate. I'm just kidding. We had a good time. We had kids over, we had friends over, we had family. It was a good time. We celebrated. We cheered loudly, and we indulged. It was great.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's still hard to believe here 6 days later, depending on when you're watching the show. And Coach Lance's appearance brought to you in part by the Mattress Place. The Mattress Place has your best choice of mattresses for the best price, and no gimmicks, just 30 to 70% off each and every day. That is the Mattress Place. So check them out. Just a couple of miles there from Henley Street Bridge. They are so close. Tell them Off the Hook Sports sent you. They're on Chapman Highway, 22 years, and that's why they are so incredibly awesome. Brittany says, or maybe Knox will be as bad as Derek Dooley was here, and he would coach at Georgia. Well, now let's don't throw Knox under the bus. Knox is a child.
How old is he?
Well, he was born in 2009, so
Well, like that's common knowledge. I didn't know that.
Well, the only reason I knew that is because I was covering them at the time. So he was born in 2009, so he would be 13 years old.
13, yes, clearly.
The coaching prodigy that is Knox Kiffin.
Knox Kiffin. I love it.
So,
We just need to hurry up and advance the story. Knox needs to have kids so we can talk about Lane Kiffin's grandson one day being a head coach at Tennessee. Let's just keep this thing rolling for generations.
He's 13, so let's pump the brakes just a little bit.
And just hold off on the kids part.
How about this? 12 years from now, he's 25. He has a son. He's coaching at Tennessee, and he names his son Smokey. But he says, like Lane did, that it has no reference to Knoxville, that he always just liked that name.
Why wouldn't he just name his son Josh?
An administrator.
Solid name.
After Lane left, I was talking to an administrator who's pretty high up in Tennessee, and I said, "Did you at all see this coming?" He said, "Well, absolutely not, obviously." And then I said, "Well, did you yeah, I thought he was what did you think of the Knox name? It seemed like he was pretty tied in, but he said that really had nothing to do with Knoxville." He goes, "This guy never cursed ever." He goes, "Bull bleep." He said, "Of course it did." I think Lane was locked in at the time. I mean, and now it's almost like the no regrets tattoo instead of no regret.
No regrets.
Yeah. Hey, Knox, I should have stayed in Tennessee. All right, here we go. It is time for – that was a very good this day in sports history, Brittany. You knocked it absolutely through the roof. Message board bingo. This is the way it works. Amanda will read out the post, and then I'm off the hook on Fridays. See what I did there? I'm off the hook on Fridays, and Coach Lance is your competition. If he can tell you the message board that it was posted on –
let's go.
For you, then he wins, and he can win some craft treats. Do you have pets, Coach Lance?
I do. I've got I've got a dog named Reggie White and a cat named Peerless Price. So,
but it has nothing to do with Tennessee football, right? Like
no.
Knox.
No, right. Those are just names I like.
Random. He's always a fan of Peerless Price, the name before Peerless Price was ever a receiver at Tennessee.
Yeah, no,
makes sense.
Word I used a lot before I heard about him. Yeah.
Yes,
all right,
it makes sense.
It's message board bingo, and it's brought to you by Craft Treats. Craft Treats, you can go there, crafttreats.com, get the chill pills. Don't forget you save 20% at checkout with the exclusive code Off the Hook. crafttreats.com, Off the Hook. It's great for your pets' digestive issues or arthritis or anxiety. So here we go. What do we got, Amanda?
All right. Refs are paid. The main ref was laughing at our coach when he was complaining about the calls, laughing.
Coach Lance's hand is up.
Alabama.
No,
Not Alabama.
not Alabama. I know. That's why I chose it, because people would automatically assume.
Tricked us.
We had Jonathan and Amanda broach the subject on officiating in the previous segment, and I thought we were going down a scary path. All right, I have no idea who that is. Crazy says Bama. John says Alabama. Don says everyone. Actually, Don is right, because
Don is right.
every team thinks that their officials are against them. Volunteer says Georgia.
Volunteer got close. It was Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Because they are so good that the refs have to call those games.
Yes.
Right. I forgot about Georgia Tech. So, yeah.
Yeah. So did Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Well, so did everybody else.
All right, here we go.
All right. It's been a grueling road. It's time to step up and take the reins, lead this country and team into greatness. We are this team, and we never fail. We will never be bottom feeders. We will maintain our values, beliefs, traditions, and we will win. I want this coach for a minimum of 10 years. And let's not harp or focus on anything that will disrupt team cohesion until the off season.
I think it's Oklahoma, as stupid as it sounds. Coach Lance?
You just went all over Coach Lance.
Sorry, Coach Lance.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say Oklahoma. That could be a Tennessee fan.
Coach Lance is Tennessee.
Oh, it was Tennessee. I don't think
it was Tennessee.
Direction. All right, we got
Yeah.
we got time for one more. Again,
Give me the goods.
Go to crafttreats.com. Use the code off the hook, get 20% off. But we've got to give one away. So we have.
You get candy cigarettes, Coach Lance.
Yes.
You get.
That's all I want. Because it took me a whole week to get this far into a cigar that was only about this long to begin with. So, not much of a smoker.
Yeah, well, it seems to be getting phased out.
My eighth grader was like, I took a puff. She was like, inhale it. That's the first thing she said. Inhale it. Like that. Like, I was like, easy there.
What do you think? I'm Bill Clinton?
I took an inhale and immediately was coughing like all over the place.
You're not supposed to inhale cigars.
I know exactly. That was my lesson for her. Don't ever smoke, because it's bad.
Well,
for
you should have let her try it. What you should have done is locked her in the closet, make her smoke a whole box of cigars. Isn't that what the people used to do back in the 50s, 60s?
I may have given her a puff.
Do you know what my biological father did?
How old is your daughter?
She's 13.
You let her. That's awesome.
My biological father, when I was 3, I was like, oh, my aunt was smoking. And I was like, I want to try that. He lit a cigarette and told me to suck it like a straw.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
I was 3. Of course I did it.
Yeah, and that's why Amanda still smokes like a chimney to this day.
Every day. She's got one burning right underneath her desk right now.
She's a 2-pack of AJ. Yeah. That's what she said.
Let's get on with the message board bingo.
Yeah. They're just going a little long.
God bless it. Okay. The
My
Oregon
name's Amanda LaFratta. I love Alabama. Okay,
the Oregon AD plus Lanning would actually restore my faith in the fact that this program wants to win and win now. That would be absolutely true, if huge.
Dave's lost it over here. He's gone.
I didn't even hear any of that. I'm just imagining smoking Amanda LaFratta. I've got some hemming to do.
Hemming?
Do you hem?
I don't hem.
No,
I take it to
makes me think of an elderly lady or something.
She can't hem.
Or the Carol Burnett show. Let me patch you through.
Let me patch you through. Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know the Carol Burnett show.
Okay.
Never watched it.
All right. Here we go. All right. So who was it? Coach Lance, do you have a guess?
I forgot what it was, what it even was now. I'm going to say
You just reset that.
Illinois.
Illinois wants to hire Oregon's AD and their coach.
Uh-huh.
No, they do not.
I'm just trying to give the people a chance.
Okay.
Balls Tom says Vanderbilt. Brittany says Auburn.
Brittany's right. It's Auburn.
Brittany's
There we
right. We're gonna have to give Brittany a dog because she's won so many crap.
Brittany's won so many. You get a whole dog.
You can have candy cigarettes.
Yes, I've asked her 4 times if she's had a pet because my brain's in so many places. Each time she's like, nope, just have kids. She's incredibly sweet about it. But each time it's like, no, just kids. Well,
You want candy cigarettes for your children? Brittany.
all right. Brittany, you won. We'll get you something. So email me and we'll hook you up without question. But Craft Treats brings you message board bingo. Again, your pet may be dealing with some sort of issue, be it arthritis, be it digestive issues, be it, I don't know, anxiety around the holidays, people knocking at the door. Well, just give them some for Halloween. People knocking at the door, just give them some chill pills. The chill pills are fantastic. Don't forget, you save 20% off checkout with the exclusive code Off the Hook. So Brian says, you'd like the Carol Burnett show. They couldn't get through a skit without cracking each other up, too. That's pretty accurate. All right, Coach Lance, what do you have cooking here? I'm always looking at your Twitter feed to see the newest. You tagged me on one, and it shows up continually because it was the last one you did? Was the last one you did the LSU coach, or was the last?
Coach Lance did the LSU coach. Yeah, we did the Alabama game press conference before the game.
Oh,
yeah. We've got a press conference coming out today before tomorrow's game. I'll be there tomorrow in Knoxville. It's the first game I'll be making it to all year long because of my busy schedule as a coach. But I'll be there tomorrow. So, are you guys going to be there?
No, I will not be there. I actually am excited to have a surgical procedure this afternoon.
Are you excited about it?
I am excited about it.
No more children for the Hooker household.
No, it's not that. It's not that. That's always the day before the NCAA tournament. Did you know that the snipping, the vasectomy business skyrockets right before the NCAA tournament?
Oh yeah, that's when I had mine because you could watch March Madness all weekend
That makes sense.
and just
That
sit
makes
there
sense.
with a pack of ice. It was great. Yeah.
Great, more information than
That's
I
a
needed.
long story. I could off the air. I'll tell you some good stories about that one. Okay, I'm going to stop talking.
Yes, fair enough. He's Coach Lance. That's Amanda LaFratta. I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports. Have a fantastic day,